Well, we're going to stand. Can you hear me okay? I'm sure you can. I'm Rachel Strawn. I'm the Program Director for Great Expectations, and I have been with the VCCS for about a year, and I'm really thrilled to work with this program. It's wonderful. This is Rachel McDonald. She's really spearheaded this program. I'm going to let her tell a little bit more about herself, and then we'll get started.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming early. I appreciate it. I've been working with the Great Expectations program this year. In my spare time, I am a full-time PhD student at the College of William and Mary, and this has been a really great learning opportunity for me. And I really appreciate Dr. Strawn and Allison Roberts and our Great Expectations team for supporting me and helping me through this process initiative as we start the Student Leadership Program this year. Dr. Strawn is going to start for us.
Thanks. So I'm just going to provide a brief background on Great Expectations. Some of you may know about it and some of you may not. This program started about 8 years ago with 5 colleges. It was a piloted program. Since then, we have grown to be at 18 of Virginia's community colleges. We are now serving about 1,000 students. And what the program grew out of was the statistics for former foster youth are pretty grim in terms of higher education and lifetime outcomes. It varies, but between 2 and 8% of former foster youth will graduate from college, so folks were seeking to remedy that. Also, within a couple years of leaving foster care, about a quarter of former foster youth become incarcerated and half become homeless. So this was a program that was started to remedy some of that. So as I mentioned, we are now at 18 schools. We just added Thomas Nelson this year, and that was very exciting. We, of course, are about enrollment and also about credentials. We had 47 students graduate or receive some kind of credential last year, and we're excited about increasing that. This has some statistics about how former foster youth do compared to their peers. Our students are doing well. It's a real challenge for the coaches to catch some of these kids, I would say. We call them slippery. So we keep stats on enrolled students and non-enrolled students. So we have about 453 students who are enrolled right now in the program, and our coaches are working with them. We also have another just about as many, 420, that are not enrolled, who are, maybe they're students who had to take a semester off for academic reasons, maybe because of situations in their life. They became homeless, they had personal transportation issues, all the barriers that our students face. And so our coaches have to really keep up with those students who we know may take a semester off, but who may come back. Some of the goals of the program. This particular program grew out of a grant, actually, that was started, a Kresge grant. We knew that the program was moving out of its infancy, and we were having some students who were having real success, and we wanted to see if those students could share some of the ideas that were working for them and also become peer leaders for some of our other students. So the idea was actually with Great Expectations before I came last year, but this year we were really happy to actually get it started. And so that's where Rachel came in, and as part of her graduate assistantship, she really started this program this fall, and I'm going to let her tell you a little more about it.
Thank you, Dr. Strawn. And I forgot to mention earlier, we will not go the full 45 minutes. We'll give a little time at the end if anyone has questions or just want to have a little bit of a dialogue about our program. So, why create a leadership program? We wanted to provide access to leadership training for some of our students. And that was a little bit of a challenge for us because our students are all across the state. So, in order to do that, we had to get creative. We knew that we wanted to give them leadership training. We had some specific criteria, things like communication, conflict resolution, public speaking. But we couldn't get all the students together, but maybe it would be like twice for the year in order to coordinate and pay for that meeting. And we weren't sure if we would be able to do as extensive support as we wanted to. So we decided to get creative and split our program into 2 parts. So the first part is a 12-module program using the Blackboard Collaborate system. We wanted to use the resources we had available to us, so we were able to use Blackboard in the group function, which mirrors the class function, but it allowed us to have a non-credit course, which gave us the full technology available to Blackboard Collaborate, which is videos, virtual collaboration online, the ability for students to turn in assignments and journals and things of that nature. And then throughout the 12 weeks, in addition to giving them leadership training, also working on an advocacy project. And so the second component is the social media component. So we have a private Facebook page where our students have been building a community since January. We also use that page as a sort of a discussion group as well, where they can post assignments they're working on, and I'll get to a little more of that later. And then the third component is a Leadership Institute, which will be held in May at the College of William and Mary, and it will be a 2-day Leadership Institute where the students will be able to get more training, present advocacy projects, and also our whole Great Expectation community will be coming the second day for a graduation and for our students to present those advocacy projects as well. So we started in October. Our coaches gave us some referrals and encouraged their students to apply. They had to write leadership essays, talk about why they were interested in the program, and we were able to accept 12 students into our cohort from across the state of Virginia. January 2nd, our Blackboard course opened, and the module series began, as well as our social media site. The students will complete the modules by April 26th, so we're kind of in the home stretch now. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in May is our Leadership Institute at the College of William and Mary, which is on the 20th and 21st. This is our list of spring 2015, which is our first cohort of student leaders. And as you may be able to see, we have students from all across the state. We have Katja from Northern Virginia, LaRonda from John Tyler, Clinton from Lord Fairfax, Caitlin from Southwest, as well as Brittany from Southwest, Gary from Mountain Empire, Cheyenne from New River, Michelle from Southside, Asian from John Tyler, and Anna from John Tyler, and Sarah from Southside. And this is the heart of our leadership program right here. So beginning the class, we had a few challenges. So the whole reason we started the program was to provide access for leadership training. But we had some challenges because it's not a course, it's not a credit course. We're not giving the students grades. Our students come from really different places in their lives and in their education. So they might be in a GED program, they might be getting ready to transfer to a university. So I had to design assignments and projects that different levels of students could do at their own pace. We also had the issue of the digital divide. So you may think that our students are all hooked up with technology, but they're not. A lot of our students do not have computers. Some of them don't have internet access. And we didn't want them just working on this leadership program at school because we felt like it would really limit them from the frequent contact with their peers on the social media page and working on their advocacy project. Many of them work full time, so they need to do their work in the evening when we get home. So we were able to partner with Tidewater Community College we built laptops for our computers for $25 for the students that didn't have one. And this was an amazing tool for them as well. And with internet challenges, our coaches really support them to give them time to have internet at school, but most of them have been able to get it at home. Also, the support network is really integral because I don't see the students in person. Well, maybe I see them through the virtual methods, but I'm not there one-on-one to see them. So our coaches, which we have at each school, have provided additional support. The coaches that I communicate if a student is experiencing something like homelessness, and we want to make sure we get them back on track and keep them in the program. We also had to give incentives outside of grades and course credit. As much as they wanted to do the student leadership program, we felt they deserved a little bit of an incentive for their time. So as part of our grant program, we're able to provide them with $100 per month during the course of the online portion of the course. And we also have a lot of intrinsic motivation because they are designing advocacy projects that are related to topics of their own interest. It's really helped them to stay engaged. Also, I've been able to provide them with a lot of feedback. We do a lot of journaling. We interact on our private Facebook account. And that's helped to keep the community together and help them stay motivated when they're experiencing challenges like midterms, maybe job loss. Many of our students have families of their own as well, so they have a lot going on. Some of the topic selections, we use the Leadership Challenge from Kouzes and Posner, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. The advocacy projects, so through the course of the module and up to the Leadership Institute, in addition to the content we've been delivering in regard to leadership and communication and social media literacy and things of that nature, they've each had their own individual advocacy projects they've been working on throughout the semester, and I'll tell you more about those in a little bit. Presentation tools and social media campaigns. So one of the functions we've used on our module is having having guest speakers who we've been able to produce videos just for our students. And one of them has been on presentation tools and social media campaigns from a colleague of mine at college in William & Mary. And it was designed just for them, showing them how to use social media responsibly, but also how to use it as an advocacy tool and as a leader as well. Community and diversity and conflict resolution and team building. And that was why this social media page was so important, because they're not going to see each other till May, but they see each other online every week, some of them every couple days, and they feel like they're friends. They talk to each other like they're friends, even though they've never met. So the Kouzes and Posner, some of you involved in leadership training or leadership education may be aware of the Leadership Challenge, which is a book about leadership, but they also created a Student Leadership Challenge, which is what we've been using as the base for our leadership training. We had the challenge of only having 3 months with them online, so we weren't able to do like a survey of leadership or leadership theory. We really needed to pick something that they could grab hold to very quickly and use as a reference, and also to refer to things during the semester. And so we used the 5 practices of authentic leadership from the Leadership Challenge. And these include modeling the way, inspiring a shared vision, challenging the process, enabling others to act, and encouraging the heart. And our students many of them have been through pretty significant challenges in their life. And so a lot of them have picked advocacy projects that are related to their own previous struggles, and they very much want to kind of move forward with that, and they want to advocate and support others. So they've really attached themselves well to these 5 practices, particularly encourage the heart, which is that passion. And I've asked them each to pick one of these, even though we talk about all 5 of these. I've asked them to pick one early on and really focus on that as they go through their project. And most of them picked encourage the heart. Not all of them, but majority of them. So virtual tools you can use. So we wanted to make sure that other people knew that they could use these tools for their own groups outside of simply the classroom or credit courses. So Blackboard Collaborate has a function for groups. Anyone at VCCS can form a group. It mirrors the class function. You can have people join. You can use all the video tools. You can have Blackboard. You could have virtual conferences and things of that nature, which is what we used it for. Also, the video technology, we were able to upload our guest speakers. Dr. Strawn opened the class with a leadership overview and talked about the Leadership Challenge. And then we have Sixto Cancel, who is a former, or is a foster youth associated with our program. He's an advocate as well, talking to students about telling their story, which is a challenge for some of our students because they get asked all the time, what's your story? Tell me your story. And as leaders, they want to share that story, but they also sometimes don't have the boundaries they should have. With that, and they end up getting a little hurt or a little maybe overexposed. And so as part of this leadership program, we've talked to them and taught them how to tell your story in a way that will encourage others, but that also allows you to have boundaries with what you say and when you say it, which is very important. And so we decided to use social media, and when we first decided to do this, we weren't sure what to do because we felt like the students had sort of Facebook was like, yesterday's news, and maybe we should be using Twitter, or maybe we should be using some like education type social media tools. But after I talked to the coaches who really helped me when I was developing this, they told me, no, our kids are all on Facebook. They use it every day. Sometimes when I can't get hold of them by phone because they've lost their phone, I message them on Facebook. And so I decided to go for it and create a private page, and the coaches were so right. They are completely comfortable on Facebook, messaging me, posting online, posting projects. It's also a private page, so we do have that privacy there. And we're hoping that when the program is over, we can actually turn the leadership of the page over to the students so that they will continue with their cohort on the page, and they will be administrators and running the page after the program ends at the end of the year. And the last is the virtual one-on-one and class meetings. There is a function on Blackboard Collaborate to have virtual meetings. I've also used Skype and FaceTime. I had it in my head that would only use Blackboard at first, but you just have to meet students where they are, and that sometimes that is in other places. So this is one of the, and I'll pull you a clip out of this. I know it's pretty small. So this is one of our discussions we had, and the 2 students involved, or 3 students involved here gave me their permission to share this because this is from our private page. This is the second assignment that we did on Facebook, and I started with really kind of low stakes questions that I felt like they could all be comfortable getting on, and learning how to use Facebook to really have discussions as opposed to just liking things or posting social things on there. So this is the second assignment we did. I asked them to tell me about a leader that they really looked up to, and I gave them a couple more criteria than that, but they had to talk about the leader and why that leader was a model for them, or why they looked up to that person. Tell us a little bit about it. They had to link us to a resource that was academic in nature so that everyone could go to the page, post a picture, and then they had to respond to 2 of their peers. And I don't have to tell them anymore to respond, but the first couple times I did have to give them the encouragement to respond specifically to at least 2 people. And so this is a discussion that one of our students had about Rosa Parks. And some of the leaders they chose were people that we all know about from our history books. Some of them chose people that they know in real life. A couple of them chose motivational speakers who are associated with foster youth topics. So this is just a couple quotes from the page, and this will show you too, I think, a little bit of difference in the different students communicating in different ways as far as their level of understanding. So this is a student who posted about Rosa Parks, and she says, Rosa said that she was tired of being treated differently, and she finally stood up for something she believed in. And this is really important to my students, standing up for yourself, something they talk about a lot, trying to get that power back and become empowered. And then my other student just posted a quote from Gandhi. She said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And I had never asked them to post quotes in response. I'd only asked them to respond to the question. So I was really impressed with that. And then I said, so then I'm able to respond to multiple students. And I said, Sarah, your description of Rosa Parks as a change agent is an excellent one, which is, she called her a radical change agent. Also, a compelling quote from Mahatma Gandhi, "Thanks for chiming in, Brittany." And that's how we all get connected on these responses. And now they do it kind of without me, and I just kind of add on at the end. So these are some of our topics that the students have chosen that they've been working out throughout the semester. So foster youth campaigns, trafficking, homelessness. We have one student who is spearheading a complete change in the placement test for remedial coursework at his community college. Healthy pregnancy habits. This is a big issue for some of our students. Several of our students do have families. Mental health awareness, cyberbullying, which is a big issue for some of our students who have been bullied and bullied online. And refugee assistance. We have a student who is a Burmese refugee who is getting ready to transfer to VCU, and he is starting a community tutoring program, which will be once a week with both families and their children. He's very concerned about parents taking their kids to school and the kids speaking English and the parents not doing that. So he's trying to help provide a link there between the community and the schools. The Leadership Institute itself, I mentioned that earlier. We're going to do further team building when we're at William and Mary in May. Some workshops, some of the topics we weren't really able to get to online like we would, things like fundraising and further networking. Project networking, so they're going to be presenting their advocacy projects on the second day of our institute, and we're going to have some individuals there who we're going to connect with them as to network, because once this program is over, we want them to continue with their projects. Many of them are only in the beginning. Some of them are doing social media campaigns and awareness campaigns, and those are going to continue on in the refugee program, and the remedial, preparing for the placement test so you don't have to take remedial courses is also going to go on. So some lessons learned. Okay, so some lessons that we've learned. One thing that because we were having interaction on the social media sites, I felt like the students had a good understanding of who I was and what I expected of them. Also in the modules, I provide a lot of videos and also written instructions. And so I decided not to have that one-on-one first contact until we actually started the advocacy projects. And that was a mistake. It wasn't a terrible mistake. We still have 12 of our 12 students. But I realized once I had that first conference with them that I should have had the conference earlier on in the semester just to establish rapport, even though we weren't actually working on the projects yet. And so that's going to be my advice going forward, and my advice to you if you decide to do something like this where you want to create a program and you're working with students or individuals that you won't have personal contact with for some time, to go ahead and Skype with them or go ahead and use the Blackboard Collaborate early on, because I found there were some anxieties the students were having about the project, and I didn't realize that from our online communication. So it was a really it's been a wonderful experience to talk to them and see them and hear them, and their different accents, and they're from different places, and they've got different things going on in the background. So it's been very eye-opening for me. Providing modeling for online forum assignments. So don't assume that the students you're working with understand how to use technology or social media and the way you think they do. You really need, just as if you were in the classroom when you give students assignment and then provide them with an example or model that for them, you have to do that. You have to do the same thing on social media forums. And even I would say on discussion boards, sometimes a professor will ask student questions. The students don't really know exactly how to answer, even if they've been online before. So whenever I give a social media assignment, and I still do it, I give an example, and I give a personal example. I don't actually give, I don't give like a fake sample. So for the leadership assignment, I actually told them about a leader that I looked up to. I showed how I want it to be laid out, and then every time they posted, I would provide a comment to show them how to comment on other students' posts. And I think that's been really important, and I think also they need me to kind of test the waters first, because they worry a lot about pleasing me and pleasing the other students and not letting anyone down. And so I want them to feel like they can be empowered to communicate online without fear or nervousness, I guess you could say. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier is using the Blackboard Collaborate. I also assumed the students would be really familiar with Blackboard Collaborate, and most of them really didn't know how to use it. They knew how to log on, and that was about it. And so they didn't understand how to access the assignments I posted. They didn't understand how to turn in assignments. Most of them had never used the journal function on Blackboard Collaborate, and they definitely hadn't used the virtual conferencing. So what I do every time I do something new on Blackboard, like the first time I post a journal or the first time I post a video, I also provide them with instructions on how to do that themselves. So they can do that on the site with me, or they can go into their other classes, and many of them do take online classes. So I don't know how they made it this far with having a little bit of confusion, but and now they're comfortable with it. They use it pretty easily. I don't have a lot of questions, but those first couple weeks I had some basic questions that surprised me. So I was really glad that we decided to, it was sort of an additional bonus in addition to the leadership training, that we've taught them how to use programs, the Blackboard, and social media in a way that they could take with them once this program is over. And again, the support network, I say, for when life happens. The support network most strongly comes from our coaches. We have coaches at all the community colleges where our students are in school. So I can call them, I can email them, and they are just on it immediately. So I will contact them if I don't hear from a student maybe for a week. I don't see them posting. I will contact the coach if I'm concerned about a student. Maybe someone gives me a journal that worries me, I can contact the coach. We have situations like students becoming homeless overnight. We have students who are having children during the course of the school year. They lose transportation. They lose their jobs. Other kind of financial issues, things of that nature. So when you're in school, it's hard for adults to balance life with school, but for students who are in their late teens and early 20s and they don't have a support network, they're not going to call mom and dad and ask them to help them out. So that coach network is really integral. It's an important part of our Great Expectations program, and it's been an important part of the student leadership program as well. And there's our contact information. So we wanted to leave time for questions. Or if you would like me to go on any further about some of these things. Right.
Could you tell us a story that's happened to you in the course of this and working with the leadership program from the youth perspective?
Yes, I'm trying to think of something that's not too private or identifiable. Yes, when we first, actually this has happened to me twice. We had, pretty shortly after we had accepted the students into the program, and they were so excited, by the way, because there was about a month before we started. They were emailing me and calling me, wanting to know when we would start and when they could have something to do, and that they were just so excited. I mean, they were so excited to be student leaders. They do not get recognition for anything. And so they understand how important this opportunity was, and they were so excited about it. And shortly after we started, maybe 2 weeks after we started, I was asking for some information. I was getting them set up and, wanting to find out who needed computers and who had phones and all those type of logistical things. And one of my students just stopped responding. And she'd been one of the students that had been so excited. And so I contacted her coach, and her coach said, thank you, let me find out. Well, she had become homeless overnight and decided she wasn't good enough to be in the student leadership program. She wasn't worthy of being called a student leader. And so the coach took her out, had lunch with her, assisted her with the real life issue, and then assured her that she was very much, we wanted her part of the program, and that we needed her as part of the program, and we did need her. She's a valuable member now. So she came back to us, and she was able to. She's back, and she has housing now. She's in the program. She's been one of our most diligent students. Just a really good heart, and that's not the only time. I had a second student who almost left us because of she got a new job, and she was afraid that we weren't going to be willing to accommodate her schedule, and of course we were willing to accommodate her. We just needed some communication, and we were able to do that. So the second time a coach reached out for us and got a student back on board, and we're in April, and we have 12 of the 12 students still in complete full participation, and statistically that is not common for our population of students because of all the issues that they do deal with. They're so challenging on top of being in school. So we've been really fortunate to keep all our leaders.
To add to that, when we were getting ready to mail out the first stipend checks, the business office needed, we need their addresses, and we didn't have addresses because even though, a lot of our students would not call themselves homeless. They're couch surfers, so they really don't have addresses. So, where are we going to mail the checks? There's this, and then we, of course, quickly decided we could just mail them to the coaches, and then the coaches hand out the checks. But just things like that you wouldn't anticipate with a regular, student body, it can be in particular concern with this population. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I apologize because I came in late, so I think I missed some
Glad you're
key
here.
information. Are these children, or not children, but young adults, part of a special group, or do they find you? And or are they already connected with a coach? How does it start out, and how do they access you? And then my second question is, why can't we give these students credit for what they do?
I'll answer the first
Yes,
part.
first, I'll
Right.
answer the second.
So these students are part of the greater Great Expectations population, which is and just background for that. Those students are either students who are already enrolled at the community college who find the Great Expectations coach and enroll in the program, or quite often students who are not in the community college yet. Our coaches spend about 30% of their time on outreach, so they go out to the high schools and the social service agencies and the independent living providers and recruit students who have experienced foster care to come to the community college and continue their education there. So from that group, we sent out word that we were starting this new student leadership program, and those students applied, and I think we required that they had one semester in school, one successful semester, and then we selected from that.
As far as the credit, so this is our first year to do the program, and initially, and it is a grant-funded program. Initially, we had the criteria for what we were able to do or what we needed to do with them, and the rest of it just kind of, we kind of invented it, over November and December. So It wouldn't, I don't think it would have been possible or occurred to me, to set it up as a credit program this year. And it's not run out of a college. I mean, we're running out of the VCCS Office Great Expectations program. But it has been so successful this year, and we definitely, I think the Institute is going to be a really good opportunity for us to network with, more of the VCCS community and Great Expectations supporters, and figure out what we're going to do next year, and hopefully can continue and possibly expand it into other opportunities. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are the coaches? Are they faculty? Are they? I can chat. Thank you.
We're being recorded.
Oh, yeah, I have a right too. Who are the coaches? Faculty members or administration people at different campuses?
Our Great Expectations coaches, well, they're coaches first of all, but they are under different departments at all of the different community colleges. Frequently, student services. Sometimes, they're considered advisors where they are, but they're employees of the different community colleges. Sure. Yes.
Wonderfully designed program. And question about the long-term thinking of this. So, do you have a vision for how you will know that it's successful, qualitative or quantitatively, some period of time in the future?
Well, we have done, we have quantitative aspect that we created a survey, which is a leader perception. So perceptions of themselves as leaders, and also their perceptions on leadership topics. So we administered a pre-assessment survey before the course started. We're in the middle of our mid-survey, and then we'll have a third at the end of the program. And then we can look how things have, if things have evolved over time, if perceptions are the same, are they different. Just preliminary looks, it's looking like they have already changed. Our advocacy project is sort of our authentic assessment to see if they are able to apply what they've learned throughout this semester. And then we are also doing qualitative interviews at the Leadership Institute. So we have been through an IRB process. We have research proposals attached to the program, and we've been collecting that data from day one so that we can at the end see how did this work, what did we learn, if we can do this again next year, how are we going to do it. And we're hoping that the students, what they complete, will be ambassadors for the program going forward with our current students, for those that are going on to the 4-year schools, for those interacting with their peers. A lot of them are interested in working with foster youth as they continue on into careers. They're very committed to that, to their own peer group. So does that answer your question? Okay. Nice.
I had a question about capacity, and I know this is your first year and you're still kind of feeling your way through some of this and documenting your lessons learned, but you started with 12. Did you have capacity for more, or maybe was it an interest, whether you had more of an interest?
We had capacity for 10, and we decided to squeeze it out to 12 because we wanted to accept as many students as possible. So I think we would have a capacity for more students. It would be, we'd rely on grant funding so that we could do it. I think with the way we have it set up, and it was a lot of work to set it up, but now it's set up. And so I think that we would have a capacity for more. I'm not sure how many on the one site, because on the social media site, I think if we would probably kind of cap out at a certain point. But if we had enough funding and we had enough students at some point, we could certainly split up into 2 cohorts or something like that. But I like having all the students together for now. So.
And then just to follow up a little bit with that, and so part of the quantitative and qualitative research that you're collecting, or data that you're collecting, are there cost implications that you're also monitoring? So as you said, it was maybe more expensive for starting, for developing the infrastructure, but then are you considering what it might cost to continue on next year and in the future?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead.
I mean, yes, we would. I mean, if we have the funding, we will expand it.
Right. I'll just add to that. Tell your friends and neighbors. This program, Great Expectations as a whole, is primarily philanthropically and grant funded, like 99%. So even though we're run through the VCCS, the funding for the program comes from donations and grants. So this program, the primary cost was the graduate assistant salary, which was Rachel's, which is low. If you've ever been a GA, you know that. And then and then we used all the free tools we had available to us, the Blackboard Collaborate, and obviously Facebook is free. And then, so the only other cost is the bringing them in that one extra night for the Leadership Institute, and that also doing at a Virginia state school is keeping the cost really low. So, yeah, and the stipend as well, right? So I think that we think that we'll be able to keep it going next year for, like I said, a minimal cost, and we hope to, because we don't want to lose this. You know, now that we started, I think the kids are pretty excited about it. We also want to figure out a way to keep in contact with this alumni network, which we're building, which is going to be a great resource for our younger students coming in when they have this peer group, the successful peer group that they can connect with that has been there, done that, and can tell them about how to succeed and share what worked for them. So.
And teaching them about networking has been a really, I think we've had 2 separate lessons on how to network online and also how to network over the phone, in person, by email, all these little things that we think the students should understand how to do, and many of them don't. So we want them to take those skills with them and continue to network even when they're not with us anymore. So.
Questions?
Any other questions?
I just want to let you know, I put some of our materials over on the sideboard if you're interested in learning more about the program. We also have a website, of course, that can share more information for you. And we welcome any questions.
And if anyone is interested in any of the advocacy topics I mentioned and could be a resource for networking, please come let me know or contact me via email if you're not in here.
Thank you all so much. Oh, evaluation forms are at the back if you wouldn't mind doing one of those.
Thank you for coming so early.
For coming.